Alright, let us talk about the Fury Marauder. Fury Marauder is a basic builder spender spec. We have abilities that build rage and we have abilities that spend rage. So there's none of this heat management or energy management nonsense. There's no taking a pause to try to manage your energy. You build rage, you spend rage, and that's all we care about. Let's talk about our builders first. Our builders are not exciting because they do not do a lot of damage, they just generate rage. We have 4 of them that we care about. The first is going to be Force Charge. Force Charge is probably the most useful to us because when we Force Charge, you're going to see a couple of our abilities start to glow down here. We'll get into why they're glowing later. Basically, when you use a charge, you're going to auto crit, which is very nice. So Force Charge should be basically used at the beginning of every single fight. Other than that, it's more of a mobility thing. You're not going to be using Force Charge in rotation. It's more to get around the map, to get to new mobs that have spawned, or get to players that you want to target down. The second builder that we care about is Battering Assault. Battering Assault generates 6 rage and does a small amount of damage. That's it. That's all you need to know. It has a 14-second cooldown, and it just generates rage. And that's it. Next we have Assault. Assault is probably the least exciting ability of them all. It does even less damage and generates even less rage. It is the last ditch priority if you are completely out of rage, if you've bonked your rotation, you don't know what to do next, you need to build rage, just use Assault. It has no cooldown. It's like your first ability. Not great, but you're not stuck like you are in other specs, if that makes sense. Finally, we have this ability called Berserk. Berserk is a fantastic ability that you can't cast without some prerequisites. The prerequisite being that you need to have 30 stacks of this thing called Fury. You generate Fury by spending rage. So you can see here as I'm building rage and spending rage, I'm slowly generating these stacks of Fury. You need 30 of these stacks in order to cast your Berserk. Once you have these 30 stacks, smash that Berserk button every time. Every single time you should be smashing that Berserk button because it generates a good chunk of rage at the beginning. It generates 4 rage instantly. And then over the next couple seconds, it's going to generate an extra 8 rage for free. So instead of having to use your builder abilities, you can just smash that Berserk button, and then suddenly you'll be passively generating Fury that we can be spending elsewhere. So those are the basic generating abilities. So again, that's Charge to start off every fight. That's Battering Assault on cooldown basically because it generates a bunch of rage. And then Assault, which is super boring. And then Berserk, which is our primary ability. Now let's talk about the spenders. This is where all of our damage happens. We don't really care about the builders beyond the fact that they build rage. The spenders are where things get fun for us because we're going to be able to chunk people down. A lot of these spenders have interactions with each other, which means that based on what pass or what procs they generate, they're going to increase the damage throughout the rest of the rotation. So let's walk through the interactions one by one here. The first happens immediately after you cast Berserk. So you can see here, when I cast Berserk, I'm going to get these stacks of Berserk rolling. However, if I'm spending Fury, it's not going to be giving me extra stats of Fury. It's not going to be giving me extra stacks of Fury. So during this entire time, while Berserk is casting, I'm not actually generating extra stacks that I can be using, which is not great. However, there is one ability in which does automatically generate stacks of Fury even while Berserk is ticking, and that is Ravage. Ravage does a mediocre amount of damage, 18,000 damage, and then leaves a ticking dot on the target. Additionally, every time Ravage hits, it's going to be building 2 stacks of Fury, regardless of if Berserk is running or not. Which means every time we smash Berserk, we're going to smash Ravage right after it. Okay? So you can see here, if I smash Berserk and I smash Ravage, I'm still building stacks of Fury on top of it, even though I'm still building Fury through Berserk. So, lesson 1, Berserk, then Ravage every time. Now let's get into the actual fun part of this. Because we have a second leap called Obliterate. Every leap that we do as Fury is going to cause our Raging Burst or our Smash to auto crit. This includes Force Charge for one, which we've already been over, and Obliterate. Obliterate does like 17,000 damage, and then it can leap to any target. So snipers being entrenched or people that are immune to leaps, you can still obliterate to them. It only has a 10-meter range, which isn't as ideal. However, it's a much further range than like your melee abilities. So Obliterate can take you the extra 10 meters, and then it causes our next burst to crit. That's interaction 1. Obliterate basically on cooldown to get the fat auto crits. Interaction number 2 is going to be Force Crush. Force Crush is going to cause your next Raging Burst to do more damage. That's about it. It's a dot, does a moderate amount of damage over a couple seconds, but the main thing we care about is that it's going to cause our Raging Burst to do more damage. In a very similar fashion, Furious Strike causes the next burst to do more damage. Furious Strike does a really solid amount of damage, does like 27,000 damage in a single strike. It costs a lot of rage, and it leads a dot based on the tactical that we're using here. So, what we want to be doing is finding ways to build all these procs, because when the time comes to use our Raging Burst, we want to have as many of these procs ready as possible. So we have Auto Crit, we build a little more Fury here. We have the Furious Crush, and we have the Furious Strike procs all rolling so that when we crit, it does a monstrous amount of damage in a single DCD, on top of the fact that all of our other abilities are already doing good chunks of damage. So in a PvP situation, your Furious Bursts, or your Raging Bursts, are going to be doing like 50,000 damage every 10 seconds or so, which is chef's kiss, delicious. One other spender that we need to be talking about here is Vicious Slash. Vicious Slash doesn't do an impression amount of damage. It does a decent chunk of damage, but what it does do is it builds Fury stacks. So while everything else is off of cooldown, we want to be using Vicious Slash as basically our minor filler ability. Let's recap all of this real quick before we talk about like a rotation. Our basic spenders, our basic builders are Force Charge, which grants us auto crits. Battering Assault, which just generates 6 rage. Assault, which generates 2 rage and does no damage. And then Berserk. When we Berserk, we want to smash Ravage every time, because Ravage is going to generate 3 stacks of Fury, it's going to generate stacks of Fury regardless of if Berserk is ticking or not. Then we need to worry about our building off of procs, which is generating auto crits using Obliterate, doing more damage with Force Crush, doing more damage with Furious Strike, and then hitting that fat Raging Burst crit with all of our damage procced. You may notice that in addition, Force Scream is now glowing. Force Scream is kind of a trap. It doesn't do as much damage as all the other abilities in our rotation, so we don't really care about it until the very end. Because when it's glowing, because we used our leap, it generates 1 Fury, which is nice, and then it also generates Rage, 1 Rage, which is nice, and then it still builds stacks of Fury, which helps us get to that 30 stacks of Fury, which means we can smash Berserk, which means we can go back into our rotation. So, let's talk about a rotation real quick. Fury does have a rotation. It is long. It's like 14 GCDs long. However, we're going to break that down into chunks to make it a lot more manageable and a lot more easy to remember. So the first chunk is going to be spending our stacks of Fury. So when we open a fight, we're going to have our 30 stacks by using Frenzy, which just generates 30 stacks of Fury. You have a 2.5 minute cooldown on it. You can use it before basically every fight, unless you're using a tactic or a utility, which gives you 30 stacks when you regen. So to open a fight, we're going to jump, Berserk, Fury. Now, when we use Raging Burst, every single time we're going to go Burst, Furious Strike, Slash. Every single time in our rotation. Burst, Strike, Slash. I'll say it one more time. When we have our auto crits, burst, slice, slash. Pound that into your brain as much as possible, because that's going to make the rotation a lot easier for us to use. So our first third of the rotation is going to be jump in, once it's done immuning, jump in, berserk, ravage, burst, slice, slash. Now we need to, for one, generate auto crits by using obliterate. Then we need to rebuild Fury. This second phase of the rotation for me is how I remember it is the rebuilding Fury stage, which means we're going to reuse Battering Assault to get more Fury up there. And now we're going to use Crush for the proc, and then Burst, Strike, Slash. That's the second phase of the rotation. So again, we're going to walk through it. First phase is going to be, I need to get my 30 stacks real quick by being a very inefficient Andy here. Okay. So first stage, jump in, berserk, ravage, burst strike class. Second phase, obliterate, battering assault to build fury, crush, burst strike slash. So let's run through it. Jump, berserk, ravage, burst, slice, slash. Phase 2, build fury by obliterate, battering assault, crush, burst, slice, slash. Now you're going to see that we are perilously close to this 30 stacks of fury, which means that we need to get back up to 30 before we can restart the rotation. This is phase 3, because we're going to use obliterate and then force stream. Now we are back at the beginning of the rotation. We have 30 stacks again. We can go berserk, ravage, once it's done immuning, burst, slice, slash. Phase 2, build rage, obliterate, battering assault, force crush, burst, slice, slash. Now we need to get back up to 30 stacks, so we're going to obliterate, and then scream, and we're back at the beginning. Berserk, ravage, burst, slice, slash. Generate procs and build fury. Obliterate, assault, crush, burst, slice, slash. When you get back to 30 stacks, so obliterate, force scream, berserk, etc. If you can nail that rotation by just sitting at a practice target dummy and just pounding that through over and over and over and over and over again until it's ingrained in your brain, you'll be fine. If you're in a situation where you cannot be following this rotation, if the mobs are dying too quickly, if you're in a PvP situation, the number one thing to remember is that we're going to be leaping using obliterate and force charge, spending as much as we can with crush and furious strike, and then spending those fat crits on raging burst. There is smash, which also is auto crit and benefits from the same procs or same buffs as raging burst does. However, it does a significantly less amount of damage. So if you have like 3 targets, then it's probably better to smash than it is to use your raging burst. However, in single target situations when you're focusing down a healer, you'll want to be using basically burst every time. So again, in PvE, or when you can follow the rotation, follow the 3 phases. In PvP, you just want to be leaping as much as possible and then spending all of your buffs with crush and strike, and then unleashing the burst with your fat crits. Okay, that's the very basics of what Fury is a builder spender spec. Let us talk about our gear real quick. In terms of the set bonus we want to be using, Descent of the Fearless, it's going to give us these charges of Furious Power, which gives us 25% damage on the next abilities we use. One interesting thing about Fury is that Furious Power is not used on Raging Burst because it is a force ability, and Furious Power only affects Saber abilities. So you're going to be using it for like Furious Strike and for Ravage and for Vicious Slash, but that's about it. The most important thing about this, though, is that it's going to be giving you 10% extra damage every time you consume a Furious Power stack. So the extra Furious Powers are nice, but the flat 10% damage bonus based off of Furious Power is what we care about more than the actual extra Fury Power themselves. In terms of tacticals, we have a couple of options here. The first option that I run in PvE content is going to be Cauterized Conary. What this does is that it's going to give your Furious Strike a dot, which does a considerable amount of damage. I'll pull over this parse here real quick. You can see that the Cauterized Conary dot does an extra 10% of all of your damage. So it's not insignificant. It ticks for basically the entire time. Additionally, because the dot is ticking, that is causing us to have more chance to grant us more stacks of Furious Power. It's very useful in PvE content. I run it a lot in regs too, just because I don't care about living as much as I do. However, in ranked, we're going to be taking Defel Splice Change. What Defel does is that every time you use Predation, it resets the cooldown of Camouflage. Especially for a class like Marauder, where we care more about slipping away and regenning back to full in ranked than we do doing all the damage we possibly can. Defel makes you much more survivable because it's hard to catch you because you're going to be stealthing out every 30 seconds or so. There also is the tactical of Enraged Crush, which means that when you use Force Crush and then hit the target with a Raging Burst, which is going to be instantly every time after you use Force Crush, Crush's damage is dispersed across an arrow effect. It's very useful when you're running like flashpoints or you think everyone's going to be stacking on top of each other. Then you can use Enraged Crush. However, I find it's not as useful to me compared to the straight extra damage of the Cauterized Conary. Now we get to a unique situation with Marauder in that the utilities that we have, there's actually pretty good ones here. You're not really stuck taking one or the other. This is what I want run for regs. There's a small change for ranks. So we'll talk about PvP first, we'll talk about PvE second. For PvP, I'm going to take Inexorable because it gives us more unleashes because CC Break is nice. Additionally, when you're stunned or rooted, you're just going to be generating more rage, which, I mean, we're a spender spec, so the more rage we have, the better. I also take Overwhelm here because Ravage immobilizes the target. That means that our targets can't slip away as easily, especially for a melee class. We want to be keeping the target as close to us as possible. Next, we'll be taking Brazen. It's a flat 2% DR, and then it's going to build 2 Fury whenever you're attacked, which basically means that we're going to have Fury for days because it's PvP, you're going to be attacked all the time. So, very nice, Brazen, very handy. Down in Masterful, we're going to take the Subjugation, which is going to reduce the cooldown of Obfuscate. And then what we can do is that when the target is obfuscated, we can actually use Vicious Throw. It's unfortunately this is an operation boss, so it's not going to let me obfuscate the target here. Vicious Throw replaces Vicious Slash in our rotation whenever we get down to that 30%. It's our execute. It does like 20,000 damage as a base, and then like 40 something on a crit. And it lets us have that little bit extra damage with our Obfuscate into Vicious Throw. Additionally, Obfuscate is a very handy ability. It reduces the target's accuracy by 90% for 6 seconds. So it's basically taking a DPS out of the fight for 6 seconds, which is chef's kiss. If we can have that rolling every 30 seconds or so, that is perfect. Next, we take Relentless here. Predation no longer consumes Fury. Predation is the ability that makes Marauders go wee very fast. And then based on some of the utilities we take, it causes us to go faster and then break all roots. It's just very handy. It has a 30-second cooldown then, but now we're not spending our Fury on our Predation. We can just use it basically on cooldown. In regs, I take Undying here. It reduces the cooldown of Undying by 30 seconds and then makes it last a little bit longer. Undying is our 99% DR for 6 seconds, but it has a 2.5 minute long cooldown. So because that cooldown is so long, in ranked, you probably want to drop Undying here and then pick up Phantom instead, which just gives you a flat movement bonus and then gives you a movement bonus of Camouflage, especially when we're going to be stealthing out so much. Boosting your Camouflage is going to be very, very, very important because it can let you slip away faster and find a place to heal and regen and then hop back in the fight later. Down here in Heroic, I take Unbound. Predation, it makes Predation a root break and then makes you move 30% faster with Predation on, which is, again, very good. We're a very fast class. Down here in Ruthless Regressor, it means that Vicious Throw refunds 2 rage when you use on a target affected by your Obfuscate. That's what we talked about before. When you obfuscate a target, then you can use Vicious Throw on it. It also means that when you use an Obfuscate, it reduces the damage you take by 75%. So basically, it takes your Obfuscate and turns it into a DCD, which is very, very nice. It already takes one target out of combat, but by taking this extra Ruthlessly Aggressor passive, it's going to be boosting our damage resistance on top of that, which is very handy. Finally, we're going to take Blood Ward here. Blood Ward here, we don't really care about the healing itself. The healing isn't that great. You get 3% extra heal every time you attack when you have Save Ward on. But what it does is it grants you immunity to stuns or CCs of basically any kind when you have Saber Ward on. Saber Ward has a 3-minute long cooldown and reduces your damage by 25%. It's not that great of a cooldown, but with this Blood Ward utility, we're going to be not getting CC'd, which is really important in PvP because PvP, you die in CC. That's basically how it goes. All right, this is only for PvP though. In PvE, the utilities are a lot different because a lot of these utilities won't be useful. So if I was running PvE, I would probably be taking Brazen again, Path Carver because it gives you extra AoE damage and Sleeping Slash, and then Defensive Roll because it reduces damage taken by area effects by 30%, which is obviously very good for PvP or PvE. Down here, I would probably take Phantom and Camouflage just so that way your stealth out is that much better. You can be cleansing yourself in PvE content. And then Relentless because we want to be moving faster. Then you could take Unbound here for the extra Predation Root Break, which is very handy for your entire group. You could take Brooding, which means that every time you regen, you're going to be generating those 30 stacks of Fury. And then you have these Thirst for Rage, which means that when you use your Bloodthirst, which is your raid buff, you're going to generate 12 Rage immediately, which is Chef's Kiss. And then you're going to be passively healing yourself for 1% every time you spend an ability that consumes Rage. So that's our PvE build. Again, walking through it one more time, we have builders in Charge, Ravage or Battering Assault, and Assault. And then we have our Berserk, which is our primary builder. Whenever we use Berserk, we're going to follow that right into Ravage. And then Burst, Strike, Slash. Second phase of the rotation is our Obliterate for the auto crits. Building with Battering Assault. And then Crush. And then Burst, Strike, Slash. Then we need to get to 30 by using Obliterate, Force Scream, back into it. Our buffs are based off of our leaps, so every time we leap, we're going to be getting auto crits. Force Crush and Furious Strike give us passive bonuses to our burst damage, and we hit them with the fast burst. Alright, I know that was a lot. The basics that you need to know is leap, and then burst, and then smash buttons. Let's hop into a PvP situation and see how it all plays out. So, 2 seconds. Alright, so because the world is fallen and broken and God's light doesn't shine here, I had multiple health balls in a row, which makes me want to cry. So finally, we have a Yavin. So what we're going to do is we're going to spend our Frenzy at about 10 seconds left, so that way we can start the cooldown on Frenzy to get ticking. And then we're going to drop down and go to mid. It looks like we have a good front line. We have some healers. Hopefully we have somebody going to our node. And we'll just take care of business. So we pop our Frenzy now. Frenzy has a 60-second cooldown. So by the time that we get down there, we should have maybe 20 seconds left on our Frenzy, which is plenty of time to get down there and get rocking and rolling. It appears that my computer doesn't want to give me frames right now, which, you know, a shame. However, we'll be fine. Conary Jr. appears to be their healer, so we're going to stick on him. We're going to mark him up so that way we know that he's the man that needs to die. Got to run down this way. We still have about 30 seconds left in our Fury, which is plenty of time here. We're not going to spend our Predation yet. A lot of people like to. Oh, these guys are going to there, so we're going to spend our Predation there to get them over there as fast as possible. Now we're going to let some of our fellas hop in here faster, and now going to get on their heels and get rolling. There's a rotation, Ravage, Strike, Slice. He's running away from us a little bit, which is a darn shame. Okay, he still is trying to run from us. Successfully running from us, I might add. He's also guarded, but we're running through all of his cooldowns right now, which is really important. So now I'm going to pop my CC breaker because we are at full health. Or not full health, we're at white bar. I'm going to spend our Obfuscate here because that way we are... we're taking 75% less damage. I'm going to stay on this healer. I know it's not ideal, however... it's also not the end of the world. All right, building our buffs with our Crush and our Strike. We have our everything lined up. Lock and load. fire away. We're still getting kind of tunneled here by the sorcerer, so I'm going to pop my Undying and then stealth out, and then hopefully get some heals rolling here. Though it doesn't look like we have any. So instead, I'm going to hop on the sorcerer and try to slow him down a little bit here. Now, unfortunately, we don't have any more heals than this, so we are kind of stuck here without our healer in the area. So we're going to spend the last of what we can, and we're going to die. Now, the question is, where did our healer go? It appears that we have one man, Mr. Penguin, at their pylon, which means that we should probably go over there and help him out. Because I'm imagining he's alone versus one man, which is fine. And then what we can do is we can run over there and take care of him. So we're going to predate so we can get over there faster. We have our frenzy back, which means we can just get right into business here. It appears that there's more than just one man here, which means that Penguin is over here to take care of business by himself. However, there doesn't appear to be a healer yet. We're going to pop our frenzy here. So we can roll in here. Probably start off life on this Sentinel. There's all of our stuff. We spend our Shroud. Okay, this is fine. We spend our Obfuscate to get the extra DR on. It appears that our healer has heroically run away from us, which means that we get to stand here and die instead. Oh, there's our healer back. Good. We're going to AoE CC all these fellas so that way we can get on the Sentinel and kind of burst him down and give him what's good. This man wants to sit here and try to cap on mid. We're not going to let him do that. There's everything we have. This Sentinel is back. However, this mercenary appears to really want my penis. If I can CC up this operative who also really wants my penis. Alright, we gotta get out of here if we can. Do we have any heals? We do not. Okay, that's fine. We held him up long enough at theirs. We also had somebody leave the group, which is, you know, just dandy old time. Oh boy, we are not in a good position because they are all at theirs. However, we're building this little lead up right now, which is handy for us. So we're going to go back to mid and see if we just can't stall them out. Okay, they have operatives 4 days. Our entire team is kind of just all over the place, which is not good. Not good. So we're going to see if we can't just... oh, here's a healer. We can't get on this man. Okay, never mind. We're just going to take all the damage in the world. That's cool. Obfuscate for the extra DR. Stealth out because I don't want to get bursted anymore. They have 2 healers, which is not really not great for us. We're going to have to find a way to win this game. Now, it appears that Penguin's back in mid here, which is good for us. However, we also don't appear to have a anyone in our node. There's one person in our node. That's good. All right, they finally capped up theirs by the looks of it. I'm spend my health pack here. Can AoE CC as many of these people as possible and just get back on this man right here. We're gonna die again because we have no heals coming our way, which is a damn shame. However, it looks like our people are stalling up mid pretty well. Zane is over there at theirs. Again, he's going 1v2, but we just can't take mid because they have so many heals. He's going 1v3, and we're just not making any progress at mid here. So we're just going to keep on holding up mid for as long as possible. It's not ideal. However, this might be the only way that we win this game. So everyone else gets to farm damage and just free cast all the time. We're going to sit here and try to knock down their DPS. The reason we're going after DPS here is because that I know we're not going to get through any of their healers. So instead, if we can slow down their DPS as much as possible, like doing that, by making them bubble, that is really what we're looking for. Alright, now they have finally, at long last, they have seized a turret. Hopefully, this means that they're going to come back to mid, which means that we can actually get some work done over at theirs. Just going to keep on keeping on here. Getting some heals, but just, again, not enough to keep it rolling here. Ooh, this is not good at all. Alright, one more for the road. Bonk and bonk. Again, you can see they have so many heals rolling out right now, which makes it very difficult for us to do our job. Not going to spend anything here. We're just going to let it die. And now what we're going to try to do, we're going to try to be sneaky here. Because we've proven that we can hold them off. It appears that Penguin is going back to theirs in a 1v2 as a healer. So I guess we're going back to sell out mid. The problem with the oven is that kills count for points. So for our team, we're going to have so many deaths that the delay that we manage might not be worth it for us. It's going to be close, and the kills don't count for a lot of points, but they do count for points. So we're coming back in here, just doing all the damage we possibly can. CMJ is here. We're going to be spending as much as we possibly can here. We're going to break this and then Force Shroud, so that way we take that 99% less damage, which is real nice. The Shroud is going to wear off here in 2 seconds, so I'm going to pop my my Saber Ward and hopefully take a little bit less damage. When things start to get really hairy, we'll stealth out here. However, we are also at a critical point where we are going to get real low here. I'm not going to bother stealthing out now. I'm just going to AoE CC. No, I'm not. I'm going to get stealthed to death, which means that they're probably going to cap up mid, because our healer is still over at theirs, going 1v2. And our team is very, very slow on the draw. We got to get to mid ASAP. I have a sinking suspicion that we're not going to be able to stop up that cap. Teams to push in. We're going to go over there and try to cap this up and see if we can't work some magic here. So here's what we're going to do. Do a little stealth action. Why would you pull me, dude? Why would you pull me, dude? Alright, this healer doesn't want us to win the game, apparently. So instead, we'll murder instead. Bonk. 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 You can see now the power of Fury Burst. Bonk. Bonk. One down. He wants to CC him up. I'll CC, and then we'll cap and win the game. Because he didn't get there in time. Very nice. So murdering instead is indeed a strategy. You know, when in doubt, burst. All right, here's their healer. Get on him. I know that Sentinel's low, but I don't think that CMJ is going to let him die. I'd rather start casting on this healer than casting on the DPS. All right, now I'm going to do CC'd forever. I'm not going to break this yet. It's not worth it for us to break. CMJ is guarded, so we're going to get back on this Sentinel here. I'm kind of just holding off on my my speed until I see that they're going to try to hit to ours. There we go. We're just going to nuke that Sentinel. Bonk. 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 Bum bum. Who's over there guarding? Randy. All right, we're going to keep an eye on Ronald here and see if at any point he decides he's going to start losing health. Because that when he does, if he doesn't call, that is when we will go out and take care of business. This man is running away. He's running east. Okay, one east. Randy called. So I'm on my way. I'm away. The rest of the team should stay there. I'll take care of the business over here. Vroom, one speedy lad. Fortunately, he's an operative. All right, we have two here. That's good. Bonk, 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 bonk. A little extra burst. There we go. And now I'm going to go back to mid. I'm going to trust that our team is going to take care of business there. So let's see if we can't be one stealthy Marauder boy. Stealthing out. Is that Guardian paying any attention? Yes, CC? Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Ah. It's fine. You know what? We're gonna leave this. We're not. He is a tank, which means that I'm gonna go over here and make sure that we don't lose two instead. I'd rather take care of business here. Just get on the healer. Bonk, bonk. I'm gonna pop obfuscate. I did obfuscate a healer there, but I just want it for the DR more than I care about the actual. When I care about the actual damage reduction, or not the damage reduction, the obfuscate benefits. And then I popped my Saber Word because I don't want to get CC'd here, which is obviously how hopes and dreams die. We're popping everything we possibly can right now just to try to delay this for as long as possible. Right now, we're going to pop a AoE CC, which is going to hopefully give Penguin a little bit of time there. and just delay him up. Give that 8 seconds of CC. If Penguin can stop that man for 2 seconds, yep, there we go. Attaboy. Now we come back here and prevent the W, or prevent the L, rather. Penguin's bubbled, which is fine, which means that we just get the stall out. Despite not having the same damage, we are going to have the W, which is all we care about. I know we've died like 17 times this match. However, you did get to see some of the Fury burst. We appear to be capping mid, which would be nice. There's going to be a very weird scoreboard because they're going to have all the damage and all the heals, and then we're going to have the W. Because damage isn't everything. It's a lot, but it's not everything. Right, they just cap it up there. Looks like they're going to cap. Yep. All right. We'll get on this man. CC him up. Roll through our rotation here. Bonk. 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 Okay. There is his everything. Once again, I've obfuscated a healer because I'm good. No, I'm not. Stay on the DPS. Jesus Christ. This is just the trolliest of all troll games. Breaking our CC here. Or breaking with predation, rather. Or else is going to stack here. I'm just going to smash it up. And stay on the big burst. Bonk. Bonk. Bonk, 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 bonk. Again, we don't really have the DPS to get through a healer with the guard. However, we do have the DPS to slow down their DPS, if that makes sense. Can be CC for 1,000 years. Nice. Love it, love it, love it. Obfuscating for the DR. Not because it's actually good on a healer. Bonk. Bonk. Well, this is a weird game, but I hope you got to see that just jump and leap and then proc it up with crush and slice. Crush, slice. Oh, we capped there. And then burst someone for all their damage. And that's all there is to it. We found a way to win despite not having any DPS. Bonk. 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 So, unfortunately, we took a butt ton damage and died a lot. However, considering what the SWTOR here looks like, a W is a W is a W. So, that's the basic of Fury Marauder. You're a stealthy boy with DCDs that are come off a relatively short cooldown that are okay. You have really solid single target burst, and it's fun. You get to zoom around the map. So, if you have any questions, leave them in the description below. I'll put down the stats that you should be taking with your Fury Marauder in the description. Basically, 12-13 Alacrity, 110% accuracy for PvE, 105% PvE, PvP, and then stack the rest into crit. You'll be good to go. So, that's all. Again, questions, put in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Ta-ta.